Hello and welcome to the Film Ireland podcast. I'm Gemma Creagh and I'm chatting with director Andrew Baird about his high-octane neo-noir thriller One Way. Now, you'll have to forgive us the audio. We are transatlantic with a very slight delay. We began by talking about how he made the move shooting his 2014 feature Zone 414 onto his latest thriller One Way, starring Kevin Bacon.
I did a video for the weekend that got me the script for Zone 414, and that took about 5 years to get it made. But then One Way happened very quickly. We were shooting Zone in Belfast, and they gave me the One Way script, and it was still set in Ireland. And I was like, I don't know about this, but it was originally going to be a Northern Irish kind of UK co-production that was already financed at about 2 million. And that structure didn't work out. I think they were trying to do it with a few movies. Then when I was shooting Zone, they presented One Way again. And I was like, and then I was back here and I locked the picture on Zone, and I read the American version of One Way, and I read the first 10 pages like, this is going to work. And I'd seen Good Time on the plane over, the Safdie brothers, their movie with Robert Pattinson. Yeah. And I was super impressed. So it just was one of those things where I'd seen Good Time, then I read the American version of One Way. I was like, this worked. I'd done a music video years before, kind of the first directing piece I did in America. It was really good, and it got me the attention of the weekend and stuff, and I got to do his video, which got me Zone. But anyway, so I'd done a narrative video in that kind of verite style that I thought would suit One Way, and I'd seen in Good Time. So I was like, this can really work. And I literally, it was wild. This is so extraordinary. It's literally, so I said, okay, this is cool. And then I contacted Travis Fimmel, who has a ranch up in Santa Clarita. I go up to Travis because he was in Zone. He was great. And my manager Jib was already up there on the ranch. And he said, oh yeah, Travis has been reading it. He likes it. So Travis was first in. I don't want to get, he played the role of Will, which a lot of actors would not have touched, but I knew Travis would be totally down. He's a super actor. And he always has to fight against the pretty boy image and all of that. But he's really great. And we'd had a really good time on Zone and with Guy and stuff. And so he was in right away. And then Jib, my manager, was doing a Western with Sam Worthington called The Last Son, and he said, oh, I've just cast this young musician called Machine Gun Kelly Colson Baker. And I said, I know that guy. He's in The Dirt, played Tommy Lee, and he's really talented. So that's the way. He's a bloody good actor, which he is. He's very naturally gifted. So I was like, let's try and get him to play the lead in One Way. And so Jib sends it to him. Oh yeah, and Coulson and Travis have the same agent at Paradigm, or they did. Jim Dempsey has been super supportive. And and then literally, it'll take a couple of weeks. He's doing whatever. And literally 2 days later, it's like he desperately wants to do the movie because he read it on the plane in like 45 minutes, and he was just desperate for the script, do the movie. Coulson was. So that was that. And so that we're talking about, because I'm back in Dublin then finishing Zone. So this is a 2-week period. So I've gotten Travis, I've now got Coulson, maybe a 3-week period. And then it took about another 2 weeks to get Kevin. Because Kevin's manager, his brother, was producing a movie with Martin and Jib. Paul Schiff, and David Schiff manages Kevin. So we sent the script to David, and David loved the script, and then he went to Kevin, and he's amazing. He's a total pro, and he's just, he's just a total pro. He's a gentleman. He's totally professional, brilliant actor, probably can play whatever he wants, similar to Guy, and just couldn't speak high enough of him. I think about 6 weeks we had cast that was enough to finance the movie, because movies are, well, commercial movies are financed by talent,
Yeah.
primarily. So name talent. So you have to have there, it's just the way it is. That's the collateral. So that's what you get, pre-sales and et cetera, et cetera. And so you go out there and you get some pre-sales and you get some tax breaks. And you maybe get some equity. And One Way required a lot of equity because it was contained, and the nature of the script, the nature of the film also does have it does dictate, the value as well. Like, so if you're making like a thriller or an action movie, okay, that's great. But if you're trying to do a drama, that's dangerous. And to be honest, One Way is kind of more like drama thriller than, it's certainly not an action thriller the way it was marketed as. But
I would have thought it felt very neo noir.
Yeah,
but like that, it contains definitely like that kind of claustrophobic feel. But it, like the what was it, that film where he
the Tom Hardy one, that Stephen Ike. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
the kind of forward momentum of it, like, I mean, but I mean, it's less locked in than that. I think that was almost like.
Well, the thing was, there was, even with the cast, we had, and it was the same sales agency that sold that arranged the finance for Zone. It was called Highland Film Group, who were very supportive. Same American distributor that they ended up doing a deal with. But Universal, who did a bunch of territories on Zone, in the end decided not to go One Way because it's so contained. And even initially it was like, Andrew, this is super contained. So we got our cast in record time, and we didn't even use Storm and Drea to finance because we got them late in the day. So they were not part of the finance package until they sold it in Berlin after we shot the movie. But unfortunately, that doesn't help our budget in the shooting. We had to deal with what we had. We were very tight budget, like in COVID and all of that. It was really intense. But so I had to open the movie up a little bit because everyone was saying, look, we can't sell this, it's too contained. So I had to open it up a little bit. Originally it was much more contained. 95% of it was on the bus.
I was wondering about the financing and getting, like, do you have to answer to a lot of notes? I suppose you've already proven yourself.
That's what I was ready for, particularly on Zone. I was freaked out, particularly coming from like videos and commercials and stuff. And in America, when you shoot something, often, particularly with commercials or TV, you just hand it over and it gets edited, and the showrunner takes it over on TV. The agency takes it over with commercials. So I was like, oh my God, if I lose control, that's one of the reasons I was so full on about doing the post in Windmill Lane. And I had to fight really hard for One Way to go to Windmill Lane, but it did. And they were just instrumental in the success of One Way. And because there was a bond put on the post-production as part of finance, and which is somewhat unusual. Anyway, they put a bond on it so they could then sell the loan quicker. But because of that, all the production accounting had to be like tip top right away. It took about 6 months before cash flow started on the post-production. I think it was 6 months. It's crazy. And Windmill Lane, with any other entity, would have like just thrown us out. But Windmill is just instrumental. And it's not just with that movie, but as I said, way back with Filmbase and Dunleary, and it's so cool. Like, it's such a great world-class place.
Tell me a little bit about the edit and post-production, about building it with Windmill Lane. That would be fabulous.
Well, I mean, as I said, and it'll be the same on the next one. The movies for me really come together. They form in the edit, in the, that the editor. It's actually probably my favorite part of the process now, you know, and it's just, I spent a lot of time on One Way. Actually, Jim Sheridan helped me with the opening, because the opening was different to the way it was scripted, and he was in there doing the documentary on the French lady who was murdered, Murder at the Cottage, I think he did it for Sky. Anyway, he was doing that, and he was super helpful to me. So we kind of did a soft lock on the picture after 12 or 14 weeks, and then I paused, and then Jim helped me, like he had a few sessions with me. So the movie, I came back to LA, I spent time here. Oh yeah, that's right, we were hustling that other movie as well. We're trying to get the script on the Pierce Brosnan movie working, and about 2 months later, maybe even 3 months later, we went back in to do a hard lock on the picture with notes and blah blah blah, you know. But it let it gestate for, like writing a script, you know. It's similar. That's what it's like, because editing is the final writing. So in the same way that you're writing a script, you do different drafts and you pause and blah blah blah. To be able to do that in an edit is really important for me. And often, if it's a for hire or whatever, you get a certain amount of time and you're done. Hand over a director's cut. Even like, I was talking to a producer here there recently. She had a very seasoned director do a Screen Gem Sony movie, and he has 10 weeks to hand in his director's cut, and then that's it. And then she gets a producer's cut and blah blah blah. And that's part of the DGA. So I just got to go outside of that and just really work this, which was hugely important to the movie. John Walters had worked with Antonia on her movie, so when I was looking for an editor in Ireland, and I'd worked with Tony Cranston on Zone, and Tony wasn't available. He had to go. He was doing another movie, so I had to find another editor. And I literally picked John because of Antonia, because he was working with Antonia, and Antonia, I know, anyway, she's amazing. So as an artist, basically, so worked our asses off on that edit. And you know, you can have actors like, say, Guy Pearce, Kevin Bacon, and this young African-American Storm Reed, who's just unbelievable. And you can cut them every different way and they're always going to be good. But there's other actors, newer, less seasoned, with less craft, like Coulson, and you have to be really, really careful, and you've got to really massage out a performance there. Otherwise it looks, you know, it can be off, you know. It's like it doesn't have that same level of consistency. So anyway, that's what we did. And then of course, when it comes to the narrative, it's just to get that opening to work took a long time. And then, you know, the rest, you know, the music, the sound, the color, you know, there's a bunch of, you know, small visual effects in there that will be invisible, obviously, but you know, John Kennedy is great. Look, everyone in Windmill it's just the best. It's like a home away from home. Once I get the thing in there, I know I'm safe. I knew that though way back when. That's right. Sorry, just to finish. But when I did that black and white movie called The Kiss of Life that got into Clermont-Ferrand, I had an old film school buddy who was an editor cut it. He totally messed it up. And I knew there's a much better movie there. And I'm like, there's a better movie there. And we walk into Windmill Lane, and I dabbled with Windmill I was with a commercial company, Toy Town Films, back in the day, and I'd done some commercials through Windmill. So I knew Windmill a little bit, you know. And we met Tim Morris, and Tim basically, tell you what it was. It was like, this is 2000. And he said, look, give me €1,000. I'll do the whole bloody movie.
Wow.
Like the whole post, everything. And we had James Halford who's I think his uncle was Brian Halford, who had that well-known commercial company for a long time. Anyway, James cooked the movie. We went through the whole process, you know, sound, brilliant, everything. And it basically saved the movie. And, you know, Windmill Lane did a similar, I wouldn't say they saved One Way, but they basically protected it, you know. Yeah. And actually, I just have a filmmaker buddy here who's about to start rolling on a movie here, Pretty Boy Floyd. I just hooked him up with Windmill because he's thinking about doing the post there, and he should, you know, because you can't beat it. you can't beat it for the value, you know, as expensive as Ireland is. When it comes, I think Windmill Lane is a very competitive, just very tricky to work out to get the Americans to understand the deals. But when all is said and done, you get A-level, world-class post for a fraction of what it would cost in LA or whatever, you know. And I think post-production is such a hugely important part of a movie, no matter what the movie is, the edit, the sound, the music, you know, visual effects if needed, etc., etc. And because, you know, you can bring in, as I said, with the short, quality material, and if it's not handled properly, you can have a turd. And that's why so many movies go down the toilet, because they get butchered, you know, in post, you know. So listen, I got to jump now.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Take it easy. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.